Hey, welcome back to the bench. Today we're going to start working on an RCA old school oscilloscope, a WO-91C. So I've got the cover off of it already. I put some pictures up earlier today. This is going to be a restoration on this. I picked it up about 7 years ago. It did form a trace, get a trace on the screen back then. Unfortunately, I let it sit all this time without doing anything or even opening it up. So let's get into this and see what we've got. Okay, you can see I've got the cover off of it. 4 screws on the bottom, 2 up here in the front, and this pulls right out. I'm going to get down here. I just want to... that's the on-off and intensity. It looks like all the knobs are loose. Yes, this is a 4.5 megahertz scope, megacycle scope. It looks like everything is free. There's no, might be a little stiff, but everything seems to be working on that. So, nice 5-inch scope. It does have this scale up here. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to have to learn about that. Again, this is a 91C. So what I've been trying to do is I've been online and I can find schematics and manual for a 91A. I can even find a schematic for a 91B, but I can't find anything for a 91C. Now, this is a I believe this is 7 tubes or 8 tubes. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 in the bottom is 8. It's going to need a good cleanup. We've got 2, 3 filter caps. I'm going to have to get this down to flip it over. Okay. Looking on the other side, here's another cap. And like I said, the schematics that I'm finding are for a 91A or 91B. Everybody that I've read in all the threads says that it is the same. The C is the same as the A and the B. But that's not right. Why am I saying that? Because the schematic, let me see if I have it out here. Yes, I do. The schematic calls for 2 rectifier tubes, 6X5, and I forget what that is. That's a 1V2. It's a high voltage rectifier, okay? This scope does not have them. This scope is using diodes. There's another one up in here. This is the high voltage diode. And up in here are the 2 diodes. There is 2. There's another one here. 2 diodes for the lower voltages. Okay. So I was hoping that I could power this up. Got some other electrolytics here that are going to have to be changed. Any of the electrolytics and power and paper caps I'm going to change. There's one down in there as well. This was probably made in '69. I don't see any date codes. I'm not good at date codes. 67 maybe, I don't know. Anyway, the problem lies, I'm not going to power this up because if you look up in here, this is the main filter cap. And it has leaked. And the funny thing is, it has leaked and destroyed the cardboard, and I can't tell. You know, there's symbols there. There's one of them has no symbol, and then there's a triangle, a D-shaped, and a square. Unfortunately, with that cardboard being destroyed, I can't see which is which. So I'm going to have to try to figure out what's going on. Yes, I've been looking at this before I started the video. I wanted to see if anybody had been in here, so I was snooping around. If we look back, let's look back at the schematic here. I'm sorry for hand-holding this, but I want to jump back and forth. So here is what's called the low voltage. It's like 400 volts or 300 volts. It comes down, feeds a 20 microfarad cap, goes through an inductor, 13 Henry inductor, and then there's the other cap. That's all part of the main filtering. Well, not only are these two tubes not here, this is not here. So I need to go over this schematic and see what I can do to figure out where everything is. Now, it's a 4-section cap, so we do have 4 sections here. But I need to make sure. I'm just going to see if I have some caps. These are 350-volt caps. I'm going to see if I have anything suitable, 350 or 450, that I could tack in there temporarily. But first, I need to figure out which cap is which, because, like I said, come right into this. The leakage has destroyed the cardboard on the bottom, and I can't see it. So I'm going to do a little working around here, see what I can come up with, and hopefully I can get some caps and get this thing at least fired up. Now, when it comes to putting in the caps, I am not going to put them in back in the bottom. I'm not going to stuff these caps. I am going to mount the caps on the top side. There is plenty of room because the original caps are up here, and we'll get them up out of the heat from underneath with that big honking transformer that's there. So I'll be able to mount them right about where they are. The other one is a single section, and then we have a 3-section. So if I have any adapter caps, I might be able to use them in their place, but I need to see what I have first. Okay, I'm going to repeat all of that I just said because I didn't hit the record button. I was able to go in and scrape off the corrosion, the leakage that came out of this capacitor, and determine which terminal was the D, the square, the triangle, and that's going to indicate on the can itself which capacitor relates to those symbols, okay? So when I came up to the top, and I try to get some light in there, I looked down at that capacitor down there. It's turned to the back, and there's a shield over here, just like on the other side. I can't get in there to see. I tried with a little mirror. I can't get in there to be able to read which is which. So I had to go back to the schematic and determine from the schematic, which doesn't have everything that this one has, which were the incoming leads to the low voltage supply. So yeah, okay, hopefully I got this right and I don't blow anything up. I'm going to get this on the tripod so that you can see. I do have a fire extinguisher handy down here. Never had to use it. Well, not on this stuff anyway, but never had to use it down here. But let's see what happens. Okay, I've got my voltmeter hooked up across that first capacitor. See what kind of voltage I have. I am going to use my PR57, bring the voltage up a little slow, and we'll keep an eye on the voltage and the screen. I'll turn this on, bring the intensity up, and see what we get, if we get anything other than smoke. Okay, switching on. PR57. You got to plug it in. Okay, it's plugged in. All right. Bringing it up slow. We've got 52 volts so far. I'm watching inside the unit. I want to see if I have any smoke, which I don't. I imagine we're going to have to get the voltage up there before we see anything. I got 105 volts coming out of the low voltage supply, and there's no voltages on this schematic, so I'm going to have to assume that these are 350 volt caps, that the voltage doesn't exceed 350 volts. Got other electrolytics in there too. Bring it up a little slow, give everything a chance to somewhat come up to voltage. Yeah, I know, this is painstaking when you're just watching a video. Now, I'm at, let's see, that's about 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, I'm at about 70 volts AC going into it. And yeah, you know, a lot of guys have their PR57 or their power source up on top, and they're always reaching behind everything to get that power PR57 or whatever variable AC they have. I don't like reaching over equipment that is fully powered up or potentially powered up. Let's see, what kind of current are we drawing? We're drawing about a little over 1/4 of an amp right now. And then bring up the voltage a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, I'm up to about 80 volts. Power light, you can't see it, but the little red power light is on. And what's our current? It's about it's not even 1/4 of a watt. Okay, let's bring this up, see what I can get it up to here. The current comes up when I turn it up and then starts to drop back down. That's the caps reforming. I don't see anything. Should always start them in the middle. That's focus. I don't see anything on the screen. And I'm not familiar with these old scopes either. This is like I used one of these back in the early 70s when I was in trade school. Okay, I'm at 120 volts input right now. And I got 280 volts. And it's at, let's see, that's a half an amp. It's at a half an amp. I think that's doing pretty good. Although, I mean, I don't see anything yet. Line sync. That's the sync on the line. Again, guys, I am not familiar with these old scopes. It's been so many years. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm getting high voltage on the I'm not sure on that. Now, let's see, what do we have here? Get this light out so I can see the tubes. Looks like all the tubes are lit. And no, I'm not going to stick my hands in there. So there's thousands of volts. It's on normal. Let's see. All right, let me, I'm not going to bore you guys with this trying to get it working, but first power up seems to be okay. I got 284 volts coming out of the power supply. I am going to, now I don't see any smoke, I am going to do some further testing. But let me pause you guys and we'll get back. Okay, so we're well on our way. I do have a trace on the screen. It's in the calibrate position. Okay, obviously caps are bad, so I'm going to have to do some work on it. Focus works. Horizontal centering works. Vertical calibrate, okay. And sync adjust. Yeah, I can get it to sync. Oh, I got some work to do on it, but it's getting there. Probably, yeah. Okay. Where's the sync? Yeah, I'm adjusting the sweep. I'll go back to there, because I do have a trace. So the scope is working. I'm going to have to go through and clean this all up. definitely all the caps have to be replaced. So before I do any more, at least the power-up shows, first power-up shows that I do get a trace on the scope, which is what I was trying to get. Alrighty, guys, that's it. This is part 1. It's gonna be a while before I get into part 2 because I have to order parts. I don't have any high voltage caps or anything like that in stock. The ones I tacked in, I'm not going to use. I'm going to try and use, I'm going to see if the adapter caps that I have 2 left. I'm going to see if I can use them here. If I can, I'll order the narrow caps, and we'll see you next time around. Again, click like, make some comments. I appreciate the comments. I do respond to people, and let me know what you think. Old school. Now, this is the scope I use all the time. It's a Tektronix 2213A. Nah, it's not the most modern, but it's an analog scope. I do have another Sony Tektronic. Yeah, this is a 60 megahertz scope. Tektronic, which I believe is 305, 350, something. I forget the number. But again, most of the stuff I work on is all audio, some sync circuits. I mean, I don't need a scope that goes up into the gigahertz. And these old scopes is what guys used when they worked on the equipment back then. So let me know what you think. Click like, subscribe, make some comments. Love to hear from you all.